Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at an aggro sword build. I had tried at least one other aggro sword build and didn't have much success with it, but this one I had a much better time with. This one cut basically all the 1-drops, focused more on 2-3 range, and then hitting big on the later mid-game where you can kind of pop Zirconia, boost all your small stuff, flood your board rapidly, and then smack for big damage towards the end. So there's not really a lot to go over. Like I said, you pop some early things with Royal Coachwoman, Luminous Lance Trooper, even Cage here. You can do a pretty decent job. You can do some nice things. Iron Crown Majesty can also just put some stuff on board or potentially boost your board, and Zirconia being one of your core cards. You play this, Evo, get 2 knights, and then give everything else on field +1/+1, and you will see how that plays out during our replays. Luminous Knight is our board flutter. We also have Amelia, which does a pretty decent job of allowing you to flood a board, and then also Amalia, like Sword Paladin, another big board flood. Not one I've really had to use too much, not really too much issue with her. I think I used her once so far, which makes sense. She's a one-of, so you don't tend to have too much. This deck is pretty solid. Geno's a massive beats deck, does a great job of clearing boards. Probably could run 3 of him instead of running the Ravening Tentacles, but sometimes just having some Ravening Tentacles is handy. You're able to take things out or potentially secure a game where you might not otherwise, which is always a good thing. So we're going to get right into it and check it out. So our first game here is going to be against a Haven Craft deck. This seems to be some kind of Control Amulet Haven, from what I remember. It's not too difficult typically as a matchup. You just want to make sure you're dropping early cards, because if you're not, you're kind of screwed over pretty badly. So we start off with a lot of early 2-drops, which is exactly what we want to see. We also have Albert for a later game push. Indomitable Figure isn't really the best 2-drop, but in this situation is our only 2-drop that it makes sense to play here. Since we don't really want to be playing the other cards yet, because they have better advantage later. Fortunately, Haven's a little slow to get started, so they really have to commit to this from here. Now we can easily drop something like Val's if we want, but I end up going with Royal Coachwoman. I decided to just go for a flood, and I throw one of the rushes in instead. Val's might have been better, but we're coming into our Evo turn soon, and we want to be able to take advantage of our Evo, hopefully, to get some extra damage in. And this is most certainly the type of turn you want where you're going to be able to hopefully proc some damage. So we do it again, we just go for the rush, completely ignoring its secondary effect to gain Bane. And then we end up just going for the proc to kill it. So we end up with 2 bodies on board, 1 evoed for 3 damage, and we work from here. Next turn we've got something like Albert lined up. It could be a better 6-drop to get here, especially since we're getting our board pretty much cleared here, which is a little rough. But we really just need to get the damage out. We end up getting a Kajimitsu though, with honestly not the worst card to get. It does give us some recurrence, which we could super evolve into a Storm. So playing it out now is fine. We are only running it as a one-of because of its recurrence effect. It is just kind of annoying to deal with, especially if it's set up early. They end up going for Priest, which ends up for the Banish, which, you know, obviously ends up erasing Kagemitsu, so it's not really an issue. Then we can easily go for Geno in the follow-up though. Turn 7, Geno easily gets us a double clear, double body summon. Gaining barrier when he attacks is super useful, being able to attack 2 times and having a rush. Really nice clear card for these early metas. They end up genieing my entire board, which is a little rough, so I end up going for a Zirconia, which isn't too bad under a Super Evo. We are going to get the clear here. We set up a 7/7 body and a 2/2. We're just trying to find that our Albert lethal. Well, don't want to stutter too hard, but we have 3 Alberts. We have enough setup here that all we need to do is hit them in the face with an Albert twice to win the game with Super Evolve, which is what you're going to end up seeing here. Super Evolve gives us a +3/+3, bringing Albert to 6 damage. And his ability to attack twice when enhanced 9 is totally worth it. Getting us a pretty easy game. Following on from that previous game, we're going to go straight into the next one with Dragon Craft. Ramp Dragon has proved itself to be a pretty strong meta component. I mean, so is Aggro Sword. And honestly, I think this is a good showing of the stack. It shows just how fast you can swarm a board. Obviously our turn 1, a little slow. Not having any 1-drops in our deck does hinder us there. But our turn 2 is when we can start to actually drop things to our board. Right now our hand is looking, not the strongest, that's for sure. Zirconia does kind of make up for it though, especially with Vals. We can easily play it, pop out the Bellringer and go 1 to face. We've got 1 more turn before Zirconia becomes active, since we do need to be on Evo for it. So I do end up just playing the fighter with its enhance. A 5/5 body enhance is really nice. Fortunately, Dragon typically has a slower starting point. Trying to ramp and get early pressure is hard for them. They do a nice little trade-off and then go for another Bell, which isn't going to matter for us because our next target is that Zirconia. We're going to drop it to board and go straight for the Evo. Gives us the 6/6 body we need to clear the ringer, and then we can easily do damage here with the 2/3 and the 3/2. Also just setting up a full board that has to be dealt with here. And Calamity is not a bad play, but it's not enough to full clear, which unfortunately is nearly going to cost them game here, honestly. We can do a lot of damage if we wanted. I mean, I could have went for the Evo and dealt 9. I end up not doing that. I actually Evoed the wrong thing. Evoing the 6/6 was kind of pointless there, since I was thinking of getting Barrier, but that's only on Super Evolve, so minor misplay. I should have just went for that extra damage and put the pressure on them, because then the next Super Evo would guarantee the kill. Provided they didn't heal, of course. So we're only looking for 4 damage here. Unfortunately, I'm not easily going to find it right now. But Super Evolve Geno is going to allow us to clear 2 out of the 3 things here, while setting up some bodies and potentially getting that extra damage we need. Leaving them on just 2 health with not too bad a board left over. They do end up going for the heal though. Not that it's really going to matter, because if you're not putting up a ward here, they do just dive to the Centaur. And Kagamitsu does make his way back onto the board anyway, so even if we needed to, we could have done even more damage there by evolving Kagamitsu with the Super Evolve and getting it Storm. And our final match here is against Rune. Rune Craft is another deck that I'm kind of 50-50 on when I play Sword at the moment. Just because Sword can be really good, but you need that constant pressure to do well against any deck. So things like Dragon and Rune, you want to keep that pressure up. If you drop pressure, you will get wiped, typically. And if you continually get wiped, you won't be able to do the damage you need to do. The previous build I was playing had a lot more 1-drops and a few different cards in it that didn't really synergize well enough for this, and I ended up just getting steamrolled over and over again. I just couldn't get a board down, but this variant allowed me to at least develop board a lot easier, get that early pressure that was needed, and end up hitting them in the face enough that by the time we get to that mid-game, we've already got them low enough to be in a lethal range, typically. So we end up sticking these 1/2s. These things having last word to summon a knight is really nice because it just gives them extra board pressure. Makes them harder to remove. Unfortunately, this match, I believe, starts off quite slow. As you can see, we're only hitting for like 1-2 damage at a time. We're not having too much effect here. I probably should have sent the Evo there on the 1/1 just to get that extra damage in. It might have actually been quite a decent proc there. But they honestly probably would have easily cleared anyway. So I didn't really lose too much by not evolving it. Just a couple extra damage that would have been nice. So now my only real choice here is Luminous Mage, which, provided they don't have a William, is a good play. And even with a William, we are going to force that William out. And by next turn, we're going to be able to play Samurai with Bane. So if they did William us there, we would have had a way to pretty much deal with it. The Anangrea, a little bit of a problem. It does create a potential board wipe. Well, 100% board wipe, honestly. So I don't have a great way right now, but that draw definitely solves the problem. I was looking for a way to get rid of that Anangrea, because leaving the 2/2 up, not really too threatening, but that Anangrea was going to be a problem, dealing 6 damage to our face. They then start dropping things that were quite concerning. I was mostly worried we were going to start seeing Dimensional Climb soon. They definitely seemed like they were prepping for a dimensional climb. Getting the Geno was definitely worth it here. Being able to wipe out 2 things, get 2 damage, hit them for 4 with the 4-3, and then also set up some more bodies is a huge advantage. They do end up playing the Kun, which does give them a pretty decent point here. They've got enough stuff to wipe me. The Snowman making me lose my Super Evolve for the low cost. Really not great. Remaining on just 9 health. We need a good way to clear here. Luckily, Samurai with Bane does at least get us something. I am kind of forced into playing something here, and I end up using an extra play point to play Luminous. Since we're going to go to 9 next turn anyway, which is where Albert becomes online, and 10 play points doesn't really matter too much. I'd rather have the board presence here, especially when we're basically threatening lethal with a Super Evolved Centaur. So even if they clear here, unless they put up a ward or heal, we do just lethal them. Which, provided they don't have a dimensional shift, dimensional climb, sorry, here, they weren't going to really be able to do anything. So we end up getting that Centaur Super Evolve, hitting him for 10 and closing out the game. So hopefully after those replays, that was a good showcase of what Swordcraft can do. I think it was pretty solid overall. I think this is currently one of the best decks for getting win rates on, especially early on climbing. It's not on the cheaper side, to be fair. Pretty much every deck I've covered so far hasn't really been on the cheaper side. They're all running multi-legendaries, which a lot of people just don't have full access to, which is honestly a pain. But there's not a lot we can do about that at this stage. I'm just trying to cover some of the best decks in nearly the best condition they can be for performance, see which way you guys kind of want to go. After this, we are going to have, I think, 1 or 2 more decks that I kind of want to go over that are at a similar cost, and then we're probably going to get into some more budget-orientated stuff a little bit after that once the meta kind of settles in a little bit, and people have kind of got their collections up a little bit. That way, we can kind of mess around and see where we're going. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll see you then.